Okay, here's a quick overview of the QuEST sQLCP hardware. Here's where you have your 15 non-vital inputs, serial ports for RS-232, 485, and CLA. 485 is not supported at this time, but you can talk current loop or Genesis through the RS-232, and you can talk current loop through the CLI port. 2 Ethernet ports. You can talk Genesis over Ethernet. This is the local and remote discrete outputs. So wherever the key position is, you put your 12 volts in here, and when you're in remote, you'll get 12 volts out on remote. When you're in local, you'll get your 12 volts hit local at this pin. That's if you want to wire that into some vital inputs on your Electrologics or your wayside controller. 10 to 32 volt power input, on off rocker switch. Down here you've got an HDMI out in case the screen would ever fail. You could plug in a off-the-shelf HDMI screen. This is a USB-B, and behind here is a thumb drive, and that's used just to store your location plans, software, configuration data, anything you always want to have in the bungalow at all times. This is not connected to the sQLCP. Think of it strictly as a thumb drive. And you've got USB-A and USB-C if you want to hook a keyboard or mouse up. And over here you have your link that shows I've got a Genesis connection. It also works with LCP protocol. So that's your link to your wayside controller. Health should be flashing. Power to let you know you have power. And then key switch with local and remote indications. And there's a recess default button here. You use that to get local presence if you want to upload new panel files or update software. I'll go through the web GUI configuration a little bit. So you put in the IP address of either port. Default, this is 192.168.0.101. This is 172.16.0.101. You can use either port, and if you add .54321, you get the web GUI configuration. Here's where you would set your time, set your time zone. You can find out what software you have loaded, and you can also download the configurations you've built, so you can upload them to another one if it has the same configuration. On the input tab, so I talked about these inputs here. Let's say I want input 1 to go out as control number 1. I hit this button, I type in a mnemonic, so non-vital input 1, and I want that bit to be control number 1. Now, when I have 12 volts on this input, control 1 is going to be sent through the Genesis link. So you can configure all those. You can also control your system health. Okay, I want bit 16 to be my health. This is also where you set your local remote. So you can either send remote local bits back. You can wire those to your wayside controller, or you can send those back as Genesis bits. Normally it's bits 7 and 8. Wayside controller tab, this is where you set it up. You can either talk Alstom LCP protocol, Genesis over serial, Genesis over Ethernet, or if you need to set it up as a QNet client. So if you have a remote bungalow and you just want to point it to another QuEST product, you can set it up as QNet client. Control words, it does support 1024 Genesis bits. Right now I just have it set up to 64 words and indications. You can offset those bits if you would like. We could talk about that more if you have questions. But yeah, generally this is just where you set up your information for your Electrologix. That's where you put in your Electrologix IP address that you're talking to. I/O monitoring, you can go to this page if you want to see what inputs, what non-vital inputs are high. Systems properties, this is where you type in your system name. So this is the QuEST sQLCP at location CP Tompkins. That's where you would type this in, your railroad name, subdivision name. Once you type that in, it shows up on the about page, and it'll also show up in your log files. Here's where you can change your IP address of the 2 ports. You can change your screensaver settings. So if you don't touch this thing for 5 minutes up to 12 hours, it'll go into screensaver mode, but it only enters screensaver mode if you're in remote. When you're in local, it will not go into screensaver mode. And there's a built-in heater to get us the last -10 degrees to meet AREMA Class C. You can turn that on or off here, and if you want, let's say your PO, to disable your heater because you don't want your LCP sucking down power if you're trying to keep your batteries up for a crossing or even at your interlocking, you can disable that with, let's say, your PO bit. Software update, this is where you drop your panel files. This is also where you drop any updated software for the sQLCP. Either click here or drag and drop it and it'll upload it. Log files, like I said, I mean, you can click this and see what's been happening. And if you look at that a little bit, it should look very familiar. We tried to make it look like other industry standard log files. That's a quick rundown of the configuration GUI. Now, to show the panel, I've got our RPS protocol tool here. So I'm connected via simulated Genesis over Ethernet, and I can turn off and off on bits. So if I go here, oh, I gotta touch it. So 1 normal, I touch that and I get that control, 1 reverse, so on and so forth. And here's my indications. So when I right click this, it's simulated indication number 1, 2, 3, etc. So right now 1 switches in normal. Now I don't have normal, I have reverse. And now it's unlocked, so on and so forth. 2 signal is clear. And if I run a train through on that, let's see, I've got the 2AA track down, 2A track down, pick that up, then I step on the OS. It's a very short train. Then I hit the 4 track. Oh, wrong track. 4A track. 4A track. Pick it up. And you can build these panel files so that depending on the switch position, so let's say 1 is in reverse, 7 is in reverse, 9 is in reverse, and you make this same train move, hit the 2AA, the 2A, then you're going to step on the 2 track, then the 4 track. It'll follow based on the train position or the switch position. 2A track, 12A I mean. And this is completely configurable. There's several numbers of ways you can draw your panel file. That all depends on you. I can help you guys build panel files if you want, or I can train you how to do them yourself. So anyways, that's a quick rundown on it. If you guys have any questions, just give me a shout.